Hello, welcome to the Sacrilege Temple map. I'll be going and playing through this map and explaining some design decisions. First off, I'll be explaining the theme and the layout. The theme of this map is based on European churches and ancient temples, so you'll be seeing some stained glass windows and intricate designs and trims around the borders of the level. And so, first off, we're met here with double doors. You faced off against the knight, which is the first enemy you face. And since the easiest enemy gets introduced first, if the player happens to take a lot of damage, just as I showed before, there is this nice health pickup that they can use and pick up. And here we got ourselves double staircases here, but each one goes to the same point. There's a nice gap to help introduce the player to jumping. The knights can jump down too, so the player could use the surrounding fire torches to maneuver around and to provide themselves some cover. Could also pick up the shotgun shells laying around. And this next round, you're introduced to the scrags or wizards. You can use the pillars here for good cover and to maneuver around the scrags since they're also floating inwards, so it's really easy for the player to get a nice good advantage over them. As you can see, this place has lots of archways and pillars, but they've been broken down, and the floor has been also broken down, which helps with the theme of the scrags and wizards being introduced here, since they shoot acid balls. This could be represented as a little acid pit from which they've destroyed and made use of. The player can use these little pillars here to kind of maneuver around. They can use that one as a bridge and then come back up here on this one to get a health pack, which I will show momentarily. But for now, we got ourselves another enemy encounter, which is a knight that surprise attacks us from using one of these pillars as a cover for himself. But we've dealt with him, and we can use some of these pickups to rejuvenate ourselves or replenish. Here's a point of interest for the player. It contrasts with the rest of the color scheme of this area, since it's blue and white mostly, but this is more of an orange brown, so it kind of attracts the player in a way. Makes them feel like, oh, this is interesting, this should be something of importance. And they are guided here to a staircase, which leads them to a button placed right next to this door, which happens to be the silver key door, but this does not open this door. It's kind of a little trick on the player, but if the player continues to look around, they see that, oh, this door was closed before, but now it's open due to this button. So this is where I should go next. As you can see here, we could use the pillar as a little bridge to try to access the next area. It allows for a nice immersion of interactivity between the actual map and the player, because they're using the map in order to progress. And you can see the little library here. It's got some bookcases and tables and chairs. They make their own like little pathway that breaks up the open space of this library, and it guides the player. But it also has nice pockets for like enemies to hide within. As you see here, there's a nice health pickup there, kind of entice the player over. But for now, we're introduced to a tar baby hiding in wait here, or waiting for the player to come. The level here likes to introduce enemies slowly, one by one, so players could kind of read how these enemies behave, and it also provides the space and cover and architecture, so that players can use them to their advantage. As you saw, tar babies like to leap around, so that's why there's this open space. It's an advantage for the tar baby, but it also makes it easier for the tar baby to miss the player, as well as make it easier for the player to miss the tar baby. but it also helps the player to maneuver around and get some shots in, so it's both a disadvantage and advantage for both parties. As we continue around and explore here, we find a little pocket of darkness in which a knight is waiting for us, but there's a nice health pickup when we take a lot of damage, especially for those tar babies who like to explode when they are defeated. So health pickups are essential when tar babies are around. We got a nice pocket of darkness again, face against another knight. Progress here, we find ourselves in a corridor stairs, and here we will find a target that's highlighted by the light, so the player can see there's some danger afoot. The verticality here can be useful for tar babies. Just gotta be patient and gotta wait for when they move around so you can get a good shot in. Here we're introduced to a nail gun, which is the weapon here. Contested here on the knights. Collect some of the nearby ammo. The player looks around, they'll see that the silver key is there. So we'll climb up here. And we'll soon face some scrags who will ambush us once we receive that key. Luckily we got our nail gun, and we'll be able to defeat them easily. And the player explores a lot more, and they'll find this little pocket area that, if they haven't noticed before, that they weren't able to explore before, but now they could, thanks to the opening provided from the second floor. Now they could reach up and climb up the staircase and jump right over. But the player was supposed to jump right on top of this bookcase for a safer landing. I just happened to be a little risky and just land right on the floor. Well, that's okay. We could go progress through to the next area here. Here we are faced with the silver key door. Since we got the silver key, we'll be able to progress right through. And we're in the guardian area. As you can see, there is a sequence that occurs once I enter through this room and defeat some enemies. That is due to the fact that once I enter this area, the areas that I've been before have been closed to me because there's this gate that closes on. Which means that the player cannot backtrack, and they can't resort to going back to hide away. They have to use this intended area. And if the player looks around and finds some goodies, it's a nice reward for the player if they like to explore the map instead of just passing through. Be careful with the tar babies, they do hurt a lot. The sequence is complete and the gate has been raised, so they can backtrack if they want. But otherwise, it's not of our interest right now. So here I made like a little empty column to kind of gain the player's interest, to kind of direct them to this other column that's been here, and it's placed right next to this fountain. To kind of discreetly tell, hey player, you should be going to this column to jump on it, or to continue on to get this rocket launcher. And now we have the rocket launcher pickup. Explore here, get armor. We can get some more health pickups, explore more, and we'll be replenished for our stats. We can find some more ammo. And if you saw it there already, there's a button placed right near this closed gate the player will find, so they can see through this architecture, through this prop. They can't exactly get to this button because it's here, it's blocking our way. So the player will need to go around and get to that button. And they'll see the change here. There's a little message, the change at which the gate rises. And from here we could progress through the labyrinths. And we start off with a knight in waiting, trying to ambush the player. And there's these two sides in which the player could go. If the player goes here to the left, they could be ambushed by tar babies, but if they have a rocket launcher in tow, they could deal with them easily. Here we got another two pathways. If the player goes to the left one here, or the closest one it is, they could go run, sneak attack, a knight in waiting. They're silent enough, and they could take care of them easily. Maybe the player will notice early on that there is a button up here, but I will show you momentarily what that does. As the player comes here, the door will actually close, and will be faced against the fiend. Players could back up and use the mace to their advantage, or they could just use this pillar here to run around. They could acquire these health pickups and ammo pickups just in case they need to replenish themselves. Now I'm back to the secret button here. If the player is able to shoot, the pillar comes down, and we get ourselves the red armor pickup, which could be useful for later encounters. As we continue on here, we will face against a tar baby and a fiend. And once we deal with them, we could explore the rest of this area here. There would be rockets, just in case the player was using rockets. They can use whatever as they wish, but I just happen to use my shotgun. We can press this button here, and we'll go right to the chapel entrance. Here we'll be facing against tar babies. You can use the nearby explosive crates to deal with them. Oop. Tar babies are pretty evasive. They're pretty heavy hitters. They're explosive. Now I come up here through an attic, in which we have another knight when we wait. Through this small space, kind of adds up to the tension. Now we have ourselves a button here, a secret button that leads to the chapel area. Don't want to lie in there for too long. Sometimes we won't get attacked by those scrags or wizards. Sometimes there might be infighting here, but we gotta deal with these fiends. Use our nail gun here. And as you can see, once the enemies are defeated from this area, a message pops up that says to claim the gold key. And the gold key would happen to be here. It's highlighted by this yellow light, and it's right inside the altar here. So it kind of entices the player and tells them, signals them to come here. Now we collect the gold key, and we could go find the golden door, which happens to be over here. And we find ourselves the exit. And we're done with this map. If you're interested in seeing the process of developing this map, I would suggest going to see the GitHub description below. And if you would like to play this map for yourself, it is in the same description below. The link I'll show you for the releases, latest release, and you'll be able to play it and have some fun. Thank you for watching, and I hope you had a good time. Thank you.